Hey everyone, so I hated how in my last video all you could see was my floor, so this time around I decided to show you up close my hands. Hopefully this will be a lot better than my last video, so thanks for coming back and joining me at Dork's Dolls. I'm gonna start making his arm, and if this video sucks I'll redo it in another video. So I missed a step. I'm gonna go back. Just two. In order for this circle to stretch out, you have to add an extra stitch. So I added a stitch, and then I'm gonna go back through and pull through, and then add a stitch, and then go through. Because in order to make the circle, your chain has to get longer. Alright, so now that I've gotten a good swirl looking thing, I'm going to start changing the stitch so I can cover more area. I need to remember that this is going to be on his body, so I can't make this arm unproportional to the body. But it does, his shoulders are poofy, so I need to have the arm come out big and then come back small for the rest of the arm. So to make it big faster, I'm going to change the stitch. So for the stitch, I'm actually going to wrap it and then put it in the next one. So now I got 3. I'm going to put it through 2 of them. Then I'm going to put it through the other 2. So I'm just going to wrap it and pull it through there. 3 strings, pull it through the first 2, and then pull it through the second 2. Sometimes this can be difficult because, as you can see, the stitches right here are so small that my needle has a hard time grabbing it. You just have to be persistent. Get it in that hole. Make it work. I'm so happy when I finally make a full circle, because the reason that it was so difficult for my needle to get into some of these holes is because the original stitch I was using before is very tight. The stitch is a very tight stitch, and the new stitch that I've been using is not only wider, but a lot more loose. You can see the difference. And once you make a full circle, it's so much easier to get your needle into these holes. And the whole process itself just becomes way, way easier. And you're about to see, after this stitch right here, I'm going to do my first stitch in a full circle, and it's going to be a breeze. And here we go. Whoop, whoop. Oh, you missed it. And here we go. Boom. Easy as pie. Pie's not that easy. Easy as cake. As you can see, it's already starting to make a bowl shape, and I'm not ready for it to come in yet. It needs to be poofier. So because of that, I'm gonna start doing that extra stitch because I'm not ready for it to come in a bowl. So I'm gonna do my normal, what I've been doing this whole time, just the thick one, but then an extra. So I'll show you one more time. These two. Oh, screwed that up. And an extra. Every now and then, I skip doing the extra one because it might just make it too big. It really just depends on if I like what it's doing or not. If I notice it's stretching out too much, then I'll skip a few. If I notice it's not doing it enough, then I'll not skip a few. There's really no pattern to it, as long as it looks good. So I did it there, but I skipped the last one. So just do whatever you need to do. See, now it's definitely a lot more round. This is what I want. It was turning in on itself too soon. I didn't want that. I've almost made a full circle using this widening technique, and once it's finished the full circle to make it wider, it's going to be time to turn it back in on itself. Now when I turn it back in on itself, that's when I need to start making the sleeves look ruffled, because he doesn't just have a big ball on his shoulders. It's a ruffled poof. So I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna see what this dork can do. It looks like this is a good starting point. What's going to happen after I find a better position to make this is it's going to come down and then around. Then I'm probably going to sew ruffles into it using my big needle. So you get to finally see my big needle. Yay. After looking at what I have next to Supreme Kai's body, I realized that it's definitely wide enough and it needs to start coming in to become smaller. That way it, won't go too big. This will also help me with the ruffles, the fact that it's really big and it's going to immediately get small again. So what I'm going to do is, instead of, doing the normal one, I'm going to actually skip that one and go to the next stitch. Just like right there, I wrapped it and I'm going to skip the first stitch and go to the second stitch. Every time I skip a stitch, it's actually going to make a circle. It's going to make it round. So I wrap and I'm going to skip a stitch and go into the next one. That way this will all come down and be smaller and make a great circle. After looking at what I have now, I have this great shape and I think I need to start the ruffles soon. The ruffles aren't really going to work though unless the sleeve is a little bit longer. I don't want it to go all the way in yet because the ruffles aren't going to work. So I'm going to do one more layer without skipping a stitch. That way I can add those ruffles. start seeing how to do the ruffles. Now, I was thinking of actually sewing this together, and sewing this together, and sewing this together to make them kind of look ruffly, kind of like that. And then once I stuff it with stuffing, it'll look more like the picture. You only have 3 ruffles, but that's better. And then I'm going to bring it in. So while it's still wide, the key is to do it while it's still wide. You can't get your fingers in there when it's closed and there's an arm on it. I'm going to try and use this string to make the ruffles. Because you know what? That's the dorky way to do it. Alright.